Hello, everybody. Welcome back. It's been a long time. What, 3-4 months since the last episode with good old Tommy Beale. Ooh, he's a charmer, that one.
I wasn't even there.
No. Well, welcome back. We are joined today by a special guest.
I'm not a special guest.
I'm
the co-founder.
The one, the only, the original. The Mike. How's it going, Mike? How are you doing?
Did you guys know we're making a Ratatouille musical?
Okay.
This is a good thing.
Right off the bat, he's talking about TikTok, ladies and gentlemen.
Ratatouille musical is not TikTok.
Yes, it is.
I figured this out all by myself on Snapchat stories.
Okay.
All by myself.
So, I don't... Do you know what the Ratatouille musical is? Or is it just, like... Literally, it's something I might have seen today. So by the time this gets published, if I'm lucky, because I'm very slow...
I just figured that out.
By the time this gets published, it might have been relevant a week ago. Today's the
Sunday. It's 2 a.m. on Sunday morning.
Yes.
2:07 a.m.
It's the greatest time to be alive. Time to crack open a cold one. Talk about some topics under the sun.
And guys, stay tuned, because in 53 minutes, we're gonna go at 3 a.m. and summon Jake Paul.
What?
Yep.
What are you even talking about?
Hashtag summon Jake Paul 3 a.m.
That's
challenge.
I don't know. Pop open on Twitter to spontaneously see that trending. The hashtag summon Jake Paul. What would you do? What would he say?
Hello, I'm Jake Paul. Are you a Jake Pauler? That's what he would say.
No, I think it'd probably be more something like...
What up, Jake Paul Nation?
No, it's like the Bloody Mary thing. We turn off all the lights, and then you say Jake Paul's name 3 times, and then he appears behind you. He's like, "Hi there," in his like funny Jake Paul voice.
Yeah, but
and then he has his vlog camera and pulls it up right in front of you, and he's like, "Say hello to the vlog," and then he kills you. Okay, guys. Real talk. Election.
Oh.
I'm playing.
I don't think what you can. I don't think.
I don't like talking about politics.
You know the thing that happened on November 3rd. I don't think you could call that an election. That was not an election.
That was like.
That was so far from an election.
That was like, it was, nothing even happened yet. There still hasn't been results from the election yet.
Well, according to the media, which apparently now has the ability to call the election for the first time ever, Mr. Biden is our president.
Elect.
No, not even that. He's already talking with like White House officials.
You're not wrong. I was on Instagram earlier. I was scrolling through my Instagram.
Best place to get news.
And then it was like, look at the election results. I clicked. I was like, okay. And it said, future president, 46. I was like, Joe Biden.
Well, I was looking at that.
But like 7 states aren't even called yet.
No. They're called technically by the media.
They were recalled.
Yeah, but in the precedented cases where that's happened, which the only one that comes to recent memory and probably the only comparable one was the 2000 election when they had to basically they called Florida for Al Gore in 2000, but they had
called the election for Al Gore.
Yeah, but they had to recall it because of all the lawsuits that were going on, which Bush ended up winning and then took the presidency. I mean, Al Gore was the president-elect for 31 days.
Let me just say, personally, it's been a rough couple months.
What do you mean? What?
There's reasons I haven't been on this podcast lately.
Oh.
I'm not battling anything physically.
No.
But mentally, guys, I'm not okay.
Mike, do you want me to tell you something really important?
I had to make an apology video for my recent unboxing of the graveyard. It was terrible.
That, I don't even know how to respond to that. That's so beyond any means.
Guys, go check it out on my YouTube channel.
Your apology where you have to wipe away a fake tear before breathing in very hard, like, I know I usually don't make these kinds of videos. You know what? I've been in a lot of people liked it. He got released on bail today. That Kyle Rittenhouse character that I made a swanky little video that I had to split up into 3 videos because YouTube took it down not once but twice. I got a lot more love for that video than I thought I would, but I also got a lot of hate. A lot of people hating on me.
Didn't you lose like 20 subscribers?
No, I gained 20 subscribers.
Nice. What is
But
that,
I
like
lost
4,000?
So technically I gained like 45, but like the losses offset it to like a 20-point gain. But still, you know, he got released on bail today. Doesn't mean any of the charges have been dropped, but like he's out of jail. You know.
Hey, my dude is a defender.
Maybe no, that's where I was going with that. Maybe I should make an apology video on that.
Guys, I'm sorry. It
that-
wasn't my fault.
That and the other controversial video I made, the Greta Thunberg video.
That was not controversial.
Yeah, it was.
She's
There's
being a climate police. That's what she's being. I'm naming my first daughter Greta Thunberg.
So you want her to get bullied?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. No, yeah. People did not like that one.
I love Greta.
In fact, there was a couple comments. All have since have been deleted. I don't know why, but they a bunch of people were alleging, you know. I'd also like to point out that they were all alleging at like the exact same time, which makes me think it was one angry fat guy on the same 4 accounts, and then like they were all liked by the same 4 people who commented the 4 mean comments. So probably, but they were all in some variant of like.
You're bullying the little girl that's the same age as you.
That would be the proper thing for people to critique me on. What they critiqued me on was that they thought that me even making the video was in some way aiding climate change. Like I was aiding all of the
Joe
companies that were pumping
Joe
pollution
has
in the air.
Basically mafia meetings every Thursday night with every single climate denier on Earth.
Yeah.
And they have like this. They have
The
a big
climate deniers, the anti-maskers,
huge circle. They have a big circle table where they discuss
the neo-Nazis.
And Joe just sits
them
there.
all and me are really close.
Joe sits in the middle and is like, "Okay, gentlemen, what can we do to ruin the environment more?"
The white supremacists sometimes will come there. They're a big fan of my work. Oh God. So what's the deal with I know it's been going on for a while, and I didn't actually hear about this until a couple people at our school got in trouble for it.
Hitting children? Big problem.
Big problem, no. Like the okay sign being interpreted as like white power. Like, what's the deal with that?
So that was like something stupid like a year ago.
I think it was actually in Europe or something where, you know, people, 4chan trolls like told told the media that the okay sign actually secretly meant white power, and then what was funny is I thought the all of your like super woke people, your blue checkmark Twitter stands.
Wait a minute.
They all decided that they were like, oh my goodness, I've been saying white power all along, and then the media picked up on it.
I figured it out, Joe.
I loved how the white supremacists, they were apparently the last people to find out that the okay sign meant white power. No.
So I figured it out. So you know when you make the sign, there's the 3 fingers, and that makes a W, like white, and then the cross, and then the circle makes a P. White power. If you flip it upside down,
It says
it's MP,
MP.
Mike Power, or Mike Pence.
So what you're saying, Michael, is that you're a white supremacist.
But I said Mike Pence.
But when you flip it, that kind of makes a B or a D.
So I've been watching Boy Meets World lately, right?
Oh God.
I binged all 7 seasons over the past, I'd like to say, half month.
Mm-hmm.
And pretty good series, not gonna lie. I'm on season 7, episode 7 right now. A lot of stuff's going on. I started when they were in like 6th grade. Whew, stuff got spicy when they got to high school. Reminds me of my good old days.
Well, you see, I also binge a lot of series. One of them in particular, my most favorite series, you might have heard of it, is called My Hero Academia. Now, a lot of people don't know what My Hero Academia is, but I can educate you.
Is it just hentai?
It's an anime.
Oh.
That anime is actually Japanese for cartoon.
Is it really?
Yeah, so it's a Japanese cartoon if you can believe that.
Let me check with my
And
best friend.
it's about the academia hero. But what a lot of people don't know is that he's not actually a hero per se. Well, he is, but that doesn't have anything to do with the title. His name is Hero. You see, Hero is actually a popular name in Japan because of how many good people there are. But one's got to ask, if everybody's good, then who's really the good guy?
Okay, guys, so I just looked this up. So,
You say guys as in like the 4 people who actually listen to this podcast.
yes. So, anime does not mean cartoon in Japanese. Anime means anime.
I think your translator's broken.
No,
I'm serious. It does mean cartoon in Japanese.
Anime. Anime.
Well, I'll be darned. So
guys,
all year we've been raffled by this thing called the coronavirus. It's big, it's bad, it's terrible.
It's terrible.
Everybody has the coronavirus. It's killing grandma. Everyone's grandma's dead. If you haven't checked yet, you should probably check right now because your grandma's probably dead.
Dead.
That's what the coronavirus did. They came in the middle of the night. They bashed your grandma. They killed her
Back there with a baseball bat.
with a big old coronavirus baseball bat.
It was just a sneeze. It was like, achoo, wiped out all the grandmas.
But they missed. They missed with the baseball bat. But when they snuck in, they weren't wearing a mask. And because they were so close to grandma, she caught the coronavirus and died in hospital, in the nursing home. I still can't believe that. Like, people aren't talking about that. Like, freaking, I don't care how you feel about politics, but like, Andrew Cuomo deliberately sent hundreds of elderly people with COVID into these nursing homes where like they only spread it and like, you know,
I bet she's one of those people who think the
Thousands.
Earth is overpopulated.
thousands of people died like that. And either that's incredibly like super wicked or just a level of an ineptitude that I can't even comprehend.
Or it's just mentally
That's saying something because I'm not very smart.
Yeah. He's probably just stupid like you.
Yeah, probably.
No, honestly, I bet.
Like,
I bet you he's one of those people who thinks the Earth is overpopulated, and the only way to limit that is killing the old people and feeding them to the homeless.
Well, that's what what was it? There was some crazy. Do you know who Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is?
AOC, dog.
Yeah.
AOC.
So there was some like, I remember. I can probably find it. She was having a press conference either a year or 2 years ago, and it was a year ago. And some crazy lady that was apparently a big fan of hers busted into she didn't even bust in. She was there, sitting in her seat, and then they asked questions that AOC was answering, and so she raised her hand and then went on this like violent like fit. How, we're not doing enough. Yeah, the Earth is gonna, because AOC's whole pitch is that the Earth's gonna end in 12 years, and so she had been completely indoctrinated by that and was like, we need to do more than all this stuff. We need to start eating our babies. Like, what kind of insanity allows you to think that?
What confuses me about all this is like, what is the so like according to the CDC, like these the flu and cold has dropped to like almost 0.
Yeah, that is very confusing.
But like COVID cases are about at the average that cold and flu would be around this time, because it's the beginning of cold and flu season, right? So like, is it really that coronavirus is this bad, or is it that everyone's just getting cold and flu?
Well, I can tell you one thing. It is cold and flu season, and nothing's going to change that. So everyone's going to have either one of 3 things, or multiple of 3 things. They're going to have the flu, they're going to have a cold, and they're going to have pneumonia. Now, I've never gotten a coronavirus test, and I've never had the need to, because I've never experienced any symptoms. I've never, the most I've actually come into contact with the virus is, as far as I know, is simply hearing about it on TV. So I've never had a reason to have to get tested for it, but I do know people who have had it, and I know people who have gotten tested for it, and they'll all tell me the same thing. Either one of two stories. One, they actually believe they have it, but the symptoms were super mild, or two, they didn't believe they had it, but were experiencing flu-like symptoms. Now, what you'll know is I've actually had people who have, I know people who have administered some of these tests, and they'll get the tests in sort of these shipments from, places like, because there's different tests. There's tests from the feds, there's tests from the CDC, there's tests from these pharmaceutical companies. And the tests that a lot of the people I was speaking to received all said that they were going to, the likelihood for a false positive, so like you don't have COVID, but the test is gonna say you had COVID, for a lot of these like super quick 1-day tests will the likelihood of a false positive will dramatically increase if you have the
cold or flu.
The cold or flu, which is something that
it's
everyone
dumb
has
because,
right now.
And
so that's why the death rate, or that's why the infection rate is skyrocketing.
That's what I meant to say.
Yeah,
Death rate.
The infection rate is skyrocketing simply because, and this, granted, I think this is a little bit more valid than a theory. It's not a theory of mine. I'm just taking the fact of the matter that, having the flu and cold, which is something everyone has right now because it's flu and cold season, dramatically increases dramatically increases the likelihood of you testing positive for the coronavirus without having coronavirus, is leading to this widespread panic of like, oh, the spread is out of control. Oh, when in actuality, no, it's not. Because if you look at mortality rate, we are down 80% from February. Mm-hmm. So we've taken the mortality rate that we had in February and we've cut it in half by 80%. And that's across all the spectrums. So you are now, it used to be you had a 75% chance if you had pre-existing conditions or above 65. You now have it's either a 94 or 98%. I believe it's 98% chance of surviving the virus. But I could be wrong.
65 and have pre-existing conditions like AIDS.
You have which
is dumb because like with the flu, and if you have like a pre-existing conditions like AIDS, you have like maybe a 75 chance of surviving. No, less than like a 65.
If you have AIDS unprotected, like if you have HIV positive, or AIDS, unprotected and unaided by any of the unaided by any medication or something, you get the flu, you will die. Mm-hmm. Like it's a 100% chance you will die. There's no way you live. Like that. Same with a lot of these other pre-existing conditions, but because of the medical practice, that's why you had so many people die of the flu and cold, like as early as the early 1900s, because a lot of these medical practices and sterilization practices didn't exist, and so people with certain immunocompromising diseases
even in, like,
just died.
80s and 90s, that was when like AIDS just popped out of nowhere, and we didn't know no one knew what it was, and no one knew what like AIDS was in like the 80s and 90s, and then everyone shifted from trying to figure out what cancer was to trying to figure out what AIDS was and how they could like solve it.
Right.
And that's why that's why you saw flu and cold deaths skyrocket like those 2 decades, because that's when AIDS basically introduced themselves to the world. And then when everyone started getting AIDS, people were worried, like, how does it spread? Does AIDS spread? Like, can you touch someone and they get AIDS? And then they figured out, it's an STD.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the AIDS epidemic of the 80s, and I can bring this around back to coronavirus, but I think there's a very big misconception with the AIDS epidemic in that it wasn't that people in the U.S. government were oblivious or ignorant or wanted to ignore this. It was that, two things. You said they poured lots. The reason that they didn't pour so much into AIDS research is that they poured so much into cancer research. And some of the stuff that we developed in the 80s, some of the treatments that we've developed in the 80s because of that are life-saving to people. Subsequently, some of the stuff we provided afterwards with AIDS were life-saving to people, but it was
Well, no, they now have
it was very much a pick and choose field of study.
Yeah.
And the fact was that cancer was a genetic disease that you couldn't control how you got for the most part. There were certain enabling factors, but you couldn't control how you got cancer. AIDS was a very avoidable thing that you could avoid getting. You know, we didn't know that much about it, but we knew how it was transmitted, how you could get it, and what actions you could take to prevent getting it. And quite frankly, I think that's more than fair to advertise, especially in the 80s. But, you know, coming back to COVID, we don't really know all that much about COVID. We didn't. Now we do. We know a lot about COVID. We know that by per viral load, it's not more deadly than the flu. In fact, it's actually less lethal than the flu. The issue is that it spreads quicker than the flu, about 5 times quicker. And so the sort of imbalances of the mortality per viral unit offset because you're getting a lot more people sick with COVID than the cold. Now, granted, the death numbers, well, I'm sure you've heard about this, the death numbers have been inflated incredibly.
Well, that's because they count any death like that's caused. If you have pre-existing conditions, they count that, and you die, and you're sick when you die, they count that as a COVID death. If you have, if you're really old and have a what's it called, a bad immune system, and they count that, and you die of COVID, they count that as a COVID death.
Yeah.
If you die of the flu, they count that as a COVID death, basically.
Right. Well, yeah, because
if you take a test, when you go to the hospital, they don't do those two. They do the instant tests.
Uh-huh.
And the instant test, if you have the flu, then that means that it'll say that you have COVID.
Well, that right, yeah. I mean, the first part you said about the that's 94% of the reported deaths by the CDC are people that are extremely elderly or with massive pre-existing conditions.
Like
that,
HIV
yeah.
and AIDS.
It would like 94% of people who died of COVID, according to the CDC in the United States, had all of those pre-existing conditions. I like that you brought up the flu part too, because yeah, that's a lot of the cases. Because what they'll do if you go in for a flu test is that you might take like a swab, a sample, and it comes back positive for certain trace elements of the flu. But if there's not enough of a viral load, they won't diagnose you with the flu because it's not enough to affect the body. It's not enough to produce symptoms. It's not enough to do any of that. The exact same thing with coronavirus. Any virus behaves like that. So if they even detect the smallest trace amount of COVID, and in your corpse, essentially, they'll diagnose you, a death by COVID. And people are like, well, why would they do that? Why would they do that? Well, because for a long time, and I believe in a lot of states they're still doing it, is for research purposes. The government, research purposes and for sort of coverage, insurance coverage. These state and local governments, even on the federal level sometimes, were paying hospitals thousands of dollars for every patient that died of COVID. And so what hospitals would do is that to maximize their profit margins is they would overestimate, in a lot of cases, blatantly make up cases so they could get their, I believe it was like $3,700 a patient who died of COVID.
Yeah. This is why I put on my license that I'm not an organ donor. Because might be just me, but this is a fear of mine. That if I have organ donor, they'll be like, and they have to save my life or something, they won't do it because I'm an organ donor. They'll be like, he's an organ donor, let him die. And then I'll die, and then they'll give my organs to somebody, but I could have lived. They could have saved me.
Well, that, if you look into, surgeons and stuff, it's really creepy, some of the stuff, they have to do. I know at our local hospital, there was a big scandal a few years ago.
About a doctor who would purposely oversubscribe people with medications so they would die.
Just for the sick pleasure of it, but I'm not even talking about that. That was just for his own personal sadistic gain. You get a stipend for if you have to if you have to operate on someone and they end up there's no possible way to save them, but their organs can be harvested, and you harvest their organs, that looks, at the very least, it looks good on your record. I believe in some hospitals that ends up in a financial stipend in your paycheck. I guess salary in that case. So yeah, I mean, I don't think it's, I'm personally an organ donor because I just was like, yeah, of course I'm an organ donor. And I don't see any reason I need to change that. But, I think it's a perfectly legitimate, granted, small percentage, but, that small percentage is a lot of times in, say, a fatal car accident where you're barely hanging on by a thread. That small percentage is a very measurable percentage between life and death. I think that there is the possibility that, they look at your card, they see you're an organ donor. Well, we're going to wait 5 more minutes to see how he responds to this. Oh, he's dead. Let's harvest his organs. To put it in very, very oversimplified terms. But no, yeah, I understand that.
I didn't like the DMV lady's face. She was like, "You want to be an organ donor?" I was like, "No," and she's like, "Okay."
Did they ask you why?
No.
I guess they're not allowed. They're government employees.
Not allowed to ask me anything.
I tell you, I believe on my Ohio physical, my preferred pronouns are Joe. So the state of Ohio has to refer to me as Joe, in the possessive tense. So it's not mine, it's Joe's. It's not. Look, there he goes. No. Look
there Joe goes.
There Joe goes.
I recently just changed my bio because I've been bullied for this lately, but I changed my pronouns, guys. I am now it/that.
Oh my gosh, sis, are you serious? That's such a liberating move.
I know.
I ought to go change my pronouns right skippity flat away right now because I'm feeling. I don't get that. I really don't. And
so.
What?
Can I?
Yeah, I don't care.
So pronouns, right? You can choose that. You can choose your gender.
No, you can't. Are you kidding me?
But no, if you can choose your gender, why can't I choose what race I am?
Oh yeah, you can.
You can?
Yeah. There are certain people who are transracial. That's a thing now. Where I can
skin transplant?
No, not even. They don't even have to. They can just act like a. That sounds coming out of my mouth. Probably not the best thing to have an audio recording of me saying. So I'll say it more PC, politically correct.
Act like a man.
All they have to do is act like the societal. There we go. The stereotypical black person or the stereotypical white person, and they can just say, "Oh, I'm black. Oh, I'm white," and then bam. Not only do you get all the privileges of being, which now that I think about it, I feel like if white privilege was really this big of an issue, why don't all the non-white people just transracial to be white, and then they get white privilege? Not only do they get the privilege of being the opposite race, they also get all of the LGBTQ plus minus AB up down left right
cheat code
underscore
I just entered in the cheat.
Hang on, A for ally. I'm an ally. I hope you're an ally too.
I'm an enemy.
When people ask me, are you an ally to the LGBTQ community? I'm gonna be like, no, I'm an enemy. And make sure my pronoun, or make sure my letters in there.
LGBTQ up, down, left, right, AB plus E. Had to put that E in there for enemy.
to any of our LGBTQ listeners, I would like
Why
to.
are you here?
Yeah,
like, I told this to the blind people and the deaf ones. It's 2020. Just see. Open your eyes.
You know what I'm going to do, and it's going to be the greatest. If I could do this one thing, I would die an accomplished man, and I think that it'll rise me to like world star, not fandom. Don't no, fame. I'm going to make the forbidden sign. It's gonna be a do not touch sign, but the whole sign's gonna be written in Braille. So I'll have some poor blind guy who like reads it. He's like, oh no.
So, do you know those things where it's like, this would be society if the future was ran by dogs?
Yeah, like, and they'll show like a futuristic picture of like buildings and stuff.
So, oh my gosh, what country was it? It was a.
My favorite one was like, this
is society if the country is ran by LGBTQ plus members, and it was a picture of an airport at a country where it's illegal to be gay.
Yeah, Singapore, not Singapore.
It was in Singapore.
Yeah,
it was Singapore, and I thought that was and then I just saw one comment like, this is an airport in Singapore where it's actually illegal to be gay. And then the post was removed.
I remember reading one a while back when like those were just getting started, and it was like, this is what society would look like if Obama was actually black. All right, real talk. What's the verdict on Michelle, or should I say, Michael Obama?
I knew it. He's a man.
Dude, there's apparently a whole underground like.
I was actually reading the Barack Obama book that just came out that I saw at Walmart. Spent $31 on it. Told me it was Barack Obama's secret White House
Is it like
diary.
an autobiography? I've heard about that book. Is it like an autobiography or is it
Yep.
just a...
Autobiography, bro. It was his White House diary. He talked about his
It's his dream journal.
Mr. Electric, he ruined my dream journal.
God. Weren't they supposed to make a second one for a while?
Nope, they're making a series about Shark Boy and Lava Girl's kids.
Let me guess, is it going to be a Disney Plus exclusive?
No, it's on Netflix.
Oh.
But, my question, in the movie, Shark Boy and Lava Girl couldn't even hold hands. How did they do the dangy dang to make the kids?
That's a valid question.
Like, they couldn't even hold hands.
Michael.
They touched pinkies at the end of the movie because they couldn't hold hands.
Michael, I'd like you to realize that the film is immortalized, right? So the age they were in the film is the age that you're thinking of them right now.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. I'm thinking of it as adults. They are adults now. They are 18 plus.
Okay, now you're talking about like the triple chin, very fat Redditors trying to defend why the anime lolly is actually 8,000 years old.
Guys, I'm not a pedophile. My anime lolly girlfriend is actually 400,000 years old.
Like, freaking get a job.
Triple chin. His job is watching anime. And writing the English dubbed subtitles for the Japanese talk.
I'm a Discord mod and a Reddit admin. If my job was being cool, well, gosh darn it, I'd be the boss. Whatever happened to Fortnite? I feel like no one plays Fortnite anymore.
Because it's gay.
I want to just walk into the pub to meet the boys and like
Talk
on the
about
big old TV watch
Ninja.
Ninja play the Fortnite, because I feel like that's more important than all the sports going on right now. Probably is.
Except for those 9-0 Steelers. Here we go. 9-0, baby. It's a good,
How do you think that the like, have you noticed that every single sport has had the worst consecutive year, like, in history?
What's because no one watches?
Man, I wonder why. Maybe people don't like to hear about politics and sports. Maybe that's why.
That's why.
I don't know. I always thought sports was an escape from like all of that stuff.
You know who's doing a really good job about it though? I think the Steelers are doing a good job because they don't do anything. They held up one big sign. Everyone stands to the national anthem. Everyone does what they want to do, and and they all lock arms and stand for the national anthem. No one kneels, no one does anything. They held a sign at the first game of the season that says Steelers Unite for Equality.
You know
and then
what?
they didn't hold a sign the rest of the game. The rest of the season, they've been standing out there for the national anthem, and it was good. The Steelers are doing the right thing.
You know what I think honestly is my honest solution to all this? Just don't have them come out for the national anthem, for God's sake.
That's
Like
what
they
did.
didn't until what, 9/11? And then they just kept doing it?
No, they did it, and then they stopped doing it in 2017. Don't you know? Because that's when Alejandro Villanueva snuck out of the locker room.
Yeah.
To watch
No. I'm talking about like they never used to come out of the locker room for the national anthem
Oh yeah,
until like
9/11.
the 90s, or I believe it was after 9/11 or
It
something.
was at the first game after 9/11 was in New York City.
Yeah. I don't know.
Because 9/11 happened the week before.
Oh, it happened in New York? Man,
No.
I wonder if anyone got that reference.
Guys, The Simpsons predicted it.
No, yeah. Honestly, like, no freaking political commentary. None of that.
The TV just showed.
Yes. None of that garbage. Just like, stay in the locker room, say the little national anthem, maybe do a little prayer. What, I don't care. Don't do the national anthem. Why do we even do the national anthem? Don't do it, right? I feel like that would be
It's funny.
that would be much better than all the shenanigans that are going on right now.
It's officially 3 a.m. I must go summon Jake Paul.
Hashtag summon Jake Paul challenge 3 a.m.
Jake Paul. Jake Paul. Jake Paul.
Do you know Studio C?
I remember them. Did
The
they like die or something? Did they all die in like a plane crash?
the Church of the Latter Day.
Lauderdale?
No,
Lauderdale?
Latter Day, like a later day. Church of Jesus Christ.
Is it like this church take place in
Shut
like,
up.
The afternoon or something?
Mormons.
I know.
And BYU has the comedy troupe called Studio C.
I know. I was there.
Well, all of the original people left.
Mm-hmm.
They're all gone. New people.
Big old fat
They
cast.
just made. They made a collab video with JoJo Siwa.
What? They used to be actually funny.
Oh no, they used to be funny. Yes. And then they split off, and so now Studio C is not funny, and then the company that they started to sort of rival with them, that the old people did, isn't funny anymore either. And so just the worst of both worlds happened.
Guys, I'm very depressed. I live a sad life.
Do you wear your mask, Michael? You better be wearing your mask.
Yep. I'm wearing my mask, Joe. Are you not?
Are you kidding me? I've been wearing the mask the entire time.
Okay, good. That would be kind of gay. Guys, I'm broke in the bank.
Why are you broke in the bank? It's because you spend all your money on women
No.
who don't love you. You're like, hey, here you go. Here's the rose. Hey, here you go. Here's a new PlayStation 5. Hey, here you go. Here's a new limited edition Fortnite default skin controller. Here you go.
You spend all your monies on the boys.
No, on myself.
And the boys.
Okay, I still want to go back to this because I have no idea what it... Do you have any idea what the freaking Ratatouille musical is supposed to be?
A musical about Ratatouille.
Well, okay. Yeah, I know that.
Okay, good. I was gonna say, if you know the preset.
Is it like a joke?
Rat? I'm looking it up. I don't know, it's about Ratatouille. Ratatouille.
Musical. Fake. It's fake.
It's fake.
Boo.
I'm so sad. It's a TikTok musical.
Ugh.
Gonna shoot myself.
You know what I have to say about TikTok? I'm glad they're thinking about banning it. I will say this first before I roast all of TikTok. There is a small, very, very small sect of TikTok creators who are funny, who are creative, and who actually use the site, whether it be ironically or to make actual humor. I exclude. In fact, I also commend them for succeeding on such a very odd and unorthodox market. That being said, I think that that's only a small minority of the immense, endless sea of degeneracy that is TikTok. What do you have? Just freaking, I don't know, 14-year-old girls in scantily dressed clothing, and then e-boys.
E-boys are
Oh, I hate
funny.
e-boys. Okay, I know, unfortunately, with all of the political drama going on around, there are the worst kind of beta males, and those are the people who will base their fundamental beliefs simply on whatever is trendy or whatever trendy women are talking about. So, like, you'll see that in every sector of, like, politics and stuff. Like, everything is just like, oh, what is the woman saying? Oh, my goodness. All the immigrants, we need to let them in. Trump a bad, he built a wall.
Trump a bad, he built a wall.
Like, degenerate, troglodyte beta males disgust me. They do.
You want to know something I learned in American Literature 101? 201?
200.
200? No,
Yes.
it's 201.
No, it's 200.
American Lit 2 is 202.
It's not 101, first of all. It's 100.
Oh. Well then, American Lit 200
What?
is that, liberals...
Liberals.
So we learned, I picked up that liberals, there's every conservative and liberals have certain things that they do. Liberals are very, very, very easily offended, and they take it too serious. They take stuff too seriously, and then they just yell at you, right? If you do something that they don't like. If you're a conservative and someone does something you don't like, conservatives just make fun of you.
Well, typically conservatives nowadays are doing the things that people don't like, which technically fundamentally changes them. It's like the liberals are the lowercase, the capital L, the capital L liberals right now are the lowercase c conservatives, and the capital C conservatives right now are the lowercase l liberals. Like, so a lot of like the stuff that, you know, the dominant culture, and you don't have to think anything to say the dominant culture has been sort of settled by the liberals, the left. Like, they control the media, they control Hollywood, you know, everything is put into, so they've become the establishment, they've become the conservatives, and the whole underground punk rock movement is the conservatives that like existed as a counterculture. So, you know, there's that whole shift in dynamic, which is why I think that, you know, you had stuff come out that Generation Z is the most conservative generation in history. I think because there's just a natural attraction towards that underground movement, for any underground movement. But yeah,
Is
no.
it just me, or is
I'm curious, how did you learn this in English American literature?
we just were talking about stuff, and then one of your friends brought it up, and the professor was like, let's start talking about this, and then our online student was like, brought this up, and then me and your friend looked at each other, and we were like, yeah, you're not wrong, that's what conservatives do.
Yeah.
Oh, it was so funny.
Typically, conservatives aren't offended by anything because they're too busy offending people.
Yeah.
Like, they're doing the
Well, no,
offending.
like conservatives don't get offended. Conservatives, if you say something that they don't like, agree with.
Well, I don't think it's a cause and effect from that sort of realm. I don't think conservatives are, as a result, more able to take criticism. No, I think that people who are more able to take criticism have a lot thicker skin, generally happen to be conservative. I think that's how it more likely lays out, because obviously, just look at just social trends. Conservatism is the much more intellectually difficult ideology to take.
Yeah.
It's a trip. If you want to be a there's so many boxes you got to check in order to be a conservative that like I would argue like 70% of the conservatives that claim to be conservatives aren't really conservative. Yeah.
It sucks because a lot of things now are based off of like, I hate saying it, based off of your like status. Like if people don't like the fact that you're conservative, then like then you're not expected to be conservative.
Well, that like they do the same thing in China, which is amazing that we've not amazing like, oh man, it's so great, like amazing that I'm in utter awe that we're now very eerily similar in that regard to China. Like they already have sort of social credit where like if you say something wrong, if you think something wrong, that dramatically decrease, like that'll give a demerit to your sort of social credit system.
Oh no! In Canada, if you misgender a person, you get up to 5 years in prison.
Well, in places in the U.S. now, you can get
Are you kidding me?
fined in prison time for misgendering someone.
That's so dumb. Like, I'm sorry that you look like a man but identify as a female. Boo-hoo.
Well,
Like, what am I supposed to do?
I've gotten political one time, and it was, I don't even think, no, never mind. I've never gotten political online. I can confidently say that. The two times that people mistake me for getting political were the Greta Thunberg time, which I was simply making fun of a little girl who was screaming. So
Yeah.
I'll say that. Not political. The Kyle Rittenhouse thing, no, not political. I truly, from looking at all the footage and stuff, I simply thought that the kid was trying to defend himself, you know, regardless of the political ideology of him or the people trying to kill him. And I simply wanted to say something about it. Not political. Pronouns. I don't think it's a political issue, so I'm going to speak on it because it's not a political issue. It's not any issue. It's just a practicality issue. You know, you're not. Pronouns. Yeah, they are a construct. They make you. They're the product of what you see in front of you. They're the product of your judgment. So like, I naturally, if I see a stranger walking on the street, and they're wearing a suit and tie, they have a briefcase, maybe they're coming from an important meeting, their hair slicked back. Oh yeah, they also have a penis. My first inclination is going to be, oh, what's he looks very dapper today, you know, dashing. I'm going to refer to him as a he, because those are what my eyes tell. That's what my eyes tell my brain. That's my first action. You know, I don't. As much as people are like, you need to ask, you need to be polite, you need to respect people's pronouns. It takes a large amount of mental training to convince your mind that what you're seeing in front of you is not what you're supposed to respond with.
Also, I've been taught to not ask somebody if they are a man or a woman. Like, if you're talking to no offense to anybody, but like, if you're talking to a very masculine female, and you walk up to her and say, are you a man? I'm sorry, but are you a man or a woman? Is that not rude?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. That is,
like, but I can serve jail time for being saying, hey,
being
what's
rude.
up, dude? Or, hey, what's up, woman? And that woman that looks like a dude turns out to be actually a dude.
Like put yourself in that situation. If there was a woman who looked like a man, and I feel like, no, I don't feel like, definitively speaking, it would be much more offensive to say, well, what are your preferred pronouns, than to accidentally call them a guy.
Yeah.
It would be much more offensive. Because I'm actually a woman. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. No, it's fine. Like, I feel like that's much easier to walk away from than, why are you asking what makes the whole
Can't you
word
tell?
salad, the whole word salad, not even word salad, just word throw up that would end up resulting from a conversation like that.
Also, how can you be non-binary? What bathroom are you supposed to go into?
It's because people are like, people who are all over this belt, and I will be completely candid, are all talking about, like, you've heard, like, gender's just a social construct, right? I'll take that. I'll agree with that. But I'll take it one step further. I'll say gender doesn't exist. It doesn't. It was a made-up term in the 80s that was made up to explain all of these different sexualities and different stuff. You have two biological sexes. You're either born a man or you're either born a woman with a vastly small, so small that it's an inconsiderable amount of likelihood that you're, say, born intersex or something, or you know, with a chromosomal mutation that can't really identify you as either gender. So yeah, that you have two biological sexes. You can't be born a man and say, oh, well, I'm a woman now. It's just not biologically feasible. The same vice versa. The people who do that, it's being addressed as such, but I don't the same way I don't think obesity should be celebrated. I don't think this should be celebrated the way it is. Like, oh my goodness, sis is coming out. She's actually bi-curious. Oh my goodness.
Well, like, that's one thing.
There's
people are celebrating obesity. Like, they're celebrating the fact that someone is not healthy and are endangering their life.
There's normalcy, and I think the problem with society, and I feel like everything would be fixed. Political issues, racial tensions, stuff like this would be completely fixed and eradicated if cancel culture immediately would be immediately fixed, and we'd be all living in harmony if we were to just simply acknowledge and then perhaps even a little bit of romanticism about normalization. And I think the best way to do that is to just let everyone be who they want to be. Like, if you want to marry a dude and you're a dude, fine, great.
Well, that's my
Go
argument.
ahead.
My argument is that, like, we live in the most free country in the world. You can do whatever you want, as long as you don't personally affect me.
Yeah.
As long as you don't push what you think on me.
I completely agree with the decision in 2015 from the civil rights perspective to basically legalize gay marriage.
Put legalizing gay marriage into writing.
They put it into
writing.
The problem is, though, I think the Supreme Court overstepped their boundaries because they're not supposed to be able to do stuff like that.
Yeah, that's local governments.
Yeah. And B, there was no discrimination. There was no, like, gay rights, stuff like that going on. I think you could make the argument, like, you needed institutionalized marriage so you could reap some of the tax benefits from being fine. That's fine. Absolutely. You're 100% right. Still a states' rights issue. So I don't think by any means it was a civil rights issue. No one was being oppressed, per se. That being said, I would have taken it. I completely agree with the decision. I would have taken it a step further and said, we're no more institutionalized marriage. Marriage is anything you want it to be, because you don't need to get a special little government certificate saying that you're married. You can get married whenever, however, to whoever you want to be, and the government will be legally required to recognize it as long as it's between two people, because for tax purposes, it needs to be between two people.
3 people? That's just weird.
That's weird. Ironically, the only people who are in threesomes that are in the public spotlight are Congress people. Did you know about that? Like in 2018, 2019, there was that big scandal that a bunch of Congress people had. I think they were called throuples.
What?
Yeah, basically they were like. Some cases, like this congresswoman was having like an extramarital affair that ended up just being I don't even know. I don't. Like I said, not normal. Like, I feel like you need this massive societal shift back to normalcy. People are weird. People are weird, but that's sort of what makes people unique and special. Okay, everybody, thank you for joining us once again for this epic podcast. We're joined by Mike Colaizzi.
I'm the founder.
This is
My podcast.
It's not true.
My Colaizzi podcast.
All right, it's not called
Don't
that.
forget.
We'll just let him think it's called that.
Guys, remember, My Colaizzi podcast merch will be dropping soon. Link in bio. mycolaizzimerch.com/onlyfans.
That is not a real website. Don't tell them to go to that website. Don't go to that website.
mycolaizzi_onlyfans.gov.
All right. Well, before Michael says
.edu.
any defaming stuff that will also get me thrown in prison, I'm going to end it here. Goodbye, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Crackin' Cold People Podcast.